Welcome back, everyone. Today, we're diving into a remarkably abstract piece of source material from Sherwood Park Toyota, specifically centered on the 2025 Toyota Crown Limited. But listen, this isn't your typical rundown of horsepower or fuel economy specs. We are unpacking a text that completely strips away the noise, leaving us with nothing but unfiltered essence. It requires some serious focused attention, so we're going to treat this with the academic gravity it absolutely deserves. Let's see what we can uncover together.
Okay, let's dive into this. I want you to listen to the entire source text, exactly as it was delivered. Are you ready? Only about that thing, that thing, that thing, that. Wow, right? The incredibly deliberate pacing, those heavy, prolonged silences between the concepts, it's immediately jarring. You know, in a world where we're constantly bombarded with endless marketing jargon, hitting a text this stark is literally like walking into a completely empty, brightly lit room. It forces you to just stop and figure out exactly what you're looking at.
So, looking at those first two words, we get only about. And this, right here, acts as our foundation. By starting with only about, the source material immediately builds a wall around our attention. Think of it as a linguistic gatekeeper. It explicitly strips away all the traditional automotive metrics you'd expect. It's basically telling us, hey, don't think about the wheels, don't think about the touchscreen. It establishes a fiercely minimalist focus for this explainer right out of the gate. These two words act like a funnel, forcing our perspective into a singular, hyper-focused channel before we even know what the subject is.
So the crucial point is figuring out what exactly is at the end of that funnel, and it's defined simply as thing. Now, I have to say, this is a brilliant rhetorical choice. By straight up refusing to use the word car or sedan or even crown, the source material elevates the vehicle from a mere mechanical object into something entirely philosophical. It defines the vehicle not as a collection of manufactured parts, but as an overwhelming, singular concept. Thing becomes a vessel for the ultimate abstract essence of the 2025 Toyota Crown Limited. It's like a blank canvas where the sheer aura and presence of the vehicle completely supersedes its physical reality.
Let's actually quantify this abstraction for a second. Looking at the hard data extracted directly from our 11-word transcript, there's a really fascinating distribution. Notice that massive slice dominating the data? Out of 11 total words, the single word that appears 6 times. It literally comprises over half of the entire message. Why is this so important? Well, because that is a demonstrative pronoun. Its entire function is to point at something. By completely saturating the text with the word that, the source material is relentlessly, obsessively pointing us toward the subject. It creates the sensation of almost aggressive direction, basically demanding that you look exactly where it wants you to look. Now, moving past that initial foundation, we enter the middle section of the transcript, and this operates on a deeply ingrained psychological principle, the rule of 3. You know, we see this in storytelling, in comedy, in persuasive rhetoric all the time. Our brains are literally hardwired to recognize and find immense satisfaction in triads. And here, the source material leverages this rule beautifully to prepare us for a rhythmic, escalating repetition. It takes that initial abstract concept of the thing and gives it this hypnotic, almost marching cadence.
Let's walk through this structural loop, because it functions in 3 very distinct steps. Step 1, that thing. Boom, the concept is introduced. Step 2, that thing. The concept is reinforced, establishing a clear pattern. Step 3, that thing. The pattern is completely locked in. This triple repetition isn't just redundant for the sake of it, it is a highly deliberate psychological tool. It forces you, the listener, into a mental loop. It effectively hypnotizes the audience, clearing away any remaining distractions and forcing you to fixate entirely, completely, and utterly on the pure essence of the vehicle.
Let's move to and see how this builds chronologically, because mapping it out really shows how the tension escalates. Across the very first second, we have only about, this is our phase of constraint. Then, spanning seconds 2 through 5, that rhythmic loop of that thing times 3 takes hold. This is the phase of momentum and rhythm. Finally, we hit those closing seconds where the transcript wildly shifts into that. By charting this out, we realize this isn't just some random string of words. Oh, no. It's a meticulously timed auditory experience progressing from intense constraint right through a rhythmic buildup and culminating in a highly unusual ultimate climax.
And this brings us to a brilliantly mathematical symmetry hidden right beneath the surface, the number 3.
This single digit represents the profound underlying architecture of its entire message. It represents the exact occurrences of the word thing in the middle section, which is then perfectly balanced by the exact occurrences of the closing repetition of the word that in the final section. It is a perfectly balanced equation of abstract automotive thought. Just incredible. Which brings us to the ultimate climax, a moment we can call the final stutter. We really have to approach these final three words, that, with absolute seriousness. Because in the context of our analysis, this represents the exact, precise moment where traditional language simply fails to capture the sheer presence of the 2025 Toyota Crown Limited. The speaker's ability to articulate concepts completely breaks down. They can no longer even form the word thing. They are left only with that primal demonstrative urge to point. It's a linguistic collapse caused by pure cognitive overload, an awe so profound that the sentence literally cannot be traditionally finished.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the profound contrast it highlights. On one hand, we have the structured, rhythmic focus of the middle section, that thing. It is totally orderly and purposeful. But then, on the other hand, it descends into the beautifully broken, chaotic conclusion of that. It perfectly illustrates this journey from complete control and constraint at the very beginning of the text to an utter, absolute surrender to the abstract essence of the vehicle by the end. It's an amazing visual representation of language giving way to raw emotion.
So let's pull all of this together and distill what we've uncovered from these 11 words into a cohesive philosophical narrative. First, the source material establishes absolute focus with only about. Second, it elevates the 2025 Toyota Crown Limited from a physical object into a profound concept simply by calling it a thing. Third, it utilizes rhythmic escalation through structural looping to really lock in our attention. And finally, it ends in this beautiful linguistic breakdown, proving that true automotive presence transcends language itself. This avant-garde minimalism truly matters because it challenges us to look way beyond the spec sheet and actually feel the essence of what we are engaging with. We've unpacked an absolutely incredible amount of depth from a surprisingly minimal space today. We've seen how constraint and repetition can forge a powerful, almost hypnotic focus on a single subject. But I want to leave you by taking this abstract breakdown out of the automotive world for a second and placing it directly into your own life. When you strip away all the noise, all the metrics, all the unnecessary words in your day-to-day, what commands your ultimate focus? I really want you to think about that as you go through the rest of your day. What is your that thing? Keep learning, keep focusing, and I will see you in the next explainer.